I should have gone first. Well, I'm Brenda, and wow, that was a lot of content. Lots of sweet memories. One of the things I loved about my dad is how much he loved to tell stories, and you can tell we got it honestly. I don't know if I'm as good at it as those that have gone before me, but I'll try. Dad loved to tell stories about things from childhood or history, about his jobs or his family, or funny things that happened. And one of my favorite things, well, I want to tell you one story about his childhood first that I found in something recently that I had written down that he told me over the years. And one of his favorite things was working in his dad's greenhouse when he was growing up. And he said he loved working and playing there. And he liked it when it was empty because he would swing from the pipes overhead. And as a little guy, he would also be the tomato order taker by calling local markets. And he'd say, "I'm calling from Major Maud," that was his dad, "wondered if you'd be needing any tomatoes today." And they would answer whatever they, yes or no, and then they'd say, "Thank you, Mrs. Maud." One of my favorite stories that my dad would tell was about me, of course. And it was when I was little and I would sneak into their room at night when I would wake up and was scared or something. And I'd go to my mom's side of the bed, and Mom would be fast asleep, but Dad would hear me. And he would say, "Come over to this side." Well, I suppose if I wanted to go over to that side, I would have in the first place. But like an obedient little girl, I'd say nothing until he insisted a little stronger. To that I retort, "Can I get in the middle?" I'm sure I don't remember the actual event, but this story is part of our family lore. Many times over the year, Dad would say, "Can I get in the middle?" Probably when I was acting like a big baby. I would give anything now to climb up and get in the middle between my mom and Dad. In fact, on a side note, I'm sleeping in his bed this week, and it feels very much like being in the middle. One of the dear ones that I called after my dad had died said to me, "You girls are it now." Well, this little girl will leave that up to my older sisters, and I will still keep trying to get in the middle whenever possible. Now, as you probably figured out, I'm the baby of the family, and I'm not entirely sure that I was a planned event, but Dad said, "There's always room for one more." But he also changed the motto after I was born, is what he said. And apparently there wasn't always room for one more because there was an addition of 2 bedrooms that happened right when I was born or soon after. So I guess you guys have me to thank for the 3rd bathroom and the extra 2 bedrooms and the secret escape routes into the back bedrooms. Dad was a great provider for us. He made room for one more, and I always felt loved and wanted. As you know, probably, the advantage to being the youngest is that your parents are more relaxed, a lot wiser, and fairly worn out. But of course, in our family, there was still a right way to do things, and I got a few of the biggest surprises of my life when I strayed away from the right way. One of them was my first semester of college, where I stopped going to a class, but I missed the drop date. And so all semester I had knowledge that a big fat F was coming, but I didn't want to mention it quite yet. So I pondered that all semester, and in a crazy kind of way, my fear of what Dad would say was much bigger than how it would impact my life. But guess what I got? Not what I expected, just grace and support. And this time, an additional layer of support was connected when he said, "That happened to me when I was in my first year of university too." So he wasn't perfect, and that was the first time I think I knew that. Maybe. My most current and favorite surprise came earlier this year. I was staying with Dad for a week and was doing some yard work. He was so appreciative of all of us coming to stay with him and help, and loved having us all with him. And because I still struggle with wanting to do everything right, I asked Dad, what's the best way to deadhead geraniums? And he said, well, I thought I'd get a geranium lesson in the finer art of deadheading and yard taking and caretaking. But instead of that, he said, however you do it, that's the right way to do it. So that's what I'm taking into the rest of my life. Dad's affirmation that I'm prepared and however I do life is the right way. We don't need to be compared to anyone else. Just give it our best, and that's enough. I also found a little book in Dad's headboard last night. The advantages to sleeping in this room is you get to go through things and find treasures and secrets. And a couple of months ago, or maybe, I don't know, 2 months ago, Robert came to visit one day when I was at Dad's. And he asked, I hope it's okay if I tell this. He asked Dad to give him a blessing. And it was the week that all of us girls were there with Dad, and we heard that and we went, we want a blessing. Can we have one too? And so I found a letter that Dad wrote probably 25 years ago, but it was at a time when he was in a lot of pain physically, and I think that he wasn't sure how much longer he'd have. And so we got him a lot longer than that, but one night in the middle of the night he wrote a letter to Mom and us. And in it, there's a lot of detail, and I'll let you guys read it later, but in it, he said something about each of us. And I want to tell you what he said. Elaine, he said how proud he was of you and that you were in Idaho carrying on the tradition of the family. And Carol, he said, you've been so close to me in so many ways. And Janice, he said, you love all the world and all the world loves you. And Diane, he said, you fill the world with sunshine. And to me, he said, you're a friend and helper to all. So I just want to honor my dad today along with all my sisters, and we are truly and always will be veterinarians' daughters. Can't take that away from us. So we celebrate our dad with you today.